You get to choose any role model that you had as a kid, and you get to work with them hands-on for a year and just like learn from them and see how they lead and see how they conduct themselves and like stand beside them in their job and also do your job. Would you take that opportunity? And I'm like, I would take that opportunity in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
If there's a dictionary definition of multifaceted artist, it may just have a photo of Lindsay Ell right next to it. A celebrated songwriter, singer, and performer who absolutely shreds on the guitar and counts legends like Keith Urban and Shania Twain among her peers. Lindsay is also a TV host, activist, and public speaker.
Now that would be an impressive resume for any professional artist, but it's even more so when you factor in that she's been a professional since she was basically a kid. A lot of her journey is shared on her social media, where nearly 700,000 people follow her on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube combined. But it's her latest EP, Love Myself, which just might give her fans the most open and vulnerable version of an already very open, very vocal star.
She is fierce, she is beautiful, and she's here. Welcome, Lindsay Ell!
It's so good to see you both.
So good to see you.
It makes me so happy.
Yeah, you know, we went into this vortex of Lindsay Ell, and
Oh,
the amount of
goodness.
time we've talked to you over the years.
That is dangerous.
Well, no, it's been...
We learned a lot.
We learned a lot. It's been super fun for us to actually be able to go in and watch how you've evolved as an artist and as a person. And what's really lovely about your socials is you share so much that you get to discover as a viewer, you discovering yourself over the course of it. It's really fantastic.
It really is. So we want to scare you with your first
Yes.
post you ever
Oh,
did,
gosh,
which
okay.
was...
I'm so excited. I literally have no idea what this is.
I mean,
Oh, it's
it's a great
beautiful.
picture.
It's
It's a great
beautiful.
picture. Okay, here we go.
Oh, wow. Look at her.
at that.
Look at her.
Look at her.
She's just a little baby. When was that?
August
August
24th,
24th.
2011.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Do you remember what was
Oh,
happening at that time?
of course.
And there was
I
no
actually-
caption or anything on it.
I know. I loved being mysterious
Yeah.
back then. Sometimes I still love being mysterious, but I actually took that picture in Toronto.
Nice.
I do not remember what hotel we were on the rooftop of, but yeah, I remember that was like gearing up to be like the first round of pictures from my independent record I was releasing with Randy Bachman, like way back when I was just getting started.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we took that picture just down the street. And it's wild when I look at that girl and I like know the girl I am today. They're two different people.
And that's what it is.
the best of ways.
We, as you mentioned, we went through your social media and how you have grown, but you're very active on social media. Do you like that space?
Honestly, it's been the only way I've really known. You know,
Right.
when I decided I wanted to be an artist and when I decided I loved songwriting, I was like, oh, I guess this is just how I do it. I think everybody has their own way of doing it, and there's no right or wrong way, I think. But I've just felt like the more vulnerable I am, the more fans have reacted to my songs or even what I say on socials. And so I'm just like, okay, this is just my way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we want to get started in here. What we have is a selection of photos that we've... So essentially, I was doing this work and my daughter was sitting beside me watching.
I love it.
And she goes, wait, is your job now just to creep people on social media? And I
Your
was
daughter's
like,
amazing.
yeah.
We are creepers.
I think it is.
That's great.
I think it totally
I
is.
think that's like the dream job of anybody, really, on the face of the planet.
Then we'll call each other. Did you see that photo? Did you?
Yeah.
I'm like, did
Yeah,
you see
this
that
is-
one?
So this is a selection of pics that both of us really love and want to get your insight on behind the photo. So go ahead and take your pick.
All right, I'll take the closest one to me. Oh, wow, look, right off the gate,
Right off
here.
the bat, yeah.
Miss Shania Twain herself.
And this is, I believe this is actually in Vegas, is it
This
not?
is in
photo?
Vegas. I definitely know because I'm wearing no pants.
There you go.
Which is not normally what I wear in my own shows.
Right.
But of course, with the fashion queen herself, Shania, I will be like, I will wear whatever you want me to wear. And it's so fun. Shows in Vegas are so, they're so like sexy. They're so fun. Being able to be Shania's guitar player was never something I thought I was going to do in my life. I mean, we toured with her last year, and at the beginning of 2024, she was like, Lindsay, would you ever be my guitar player and come play
she
guitar for
called
me on the
you?
road? Yeah. And I was like, I never saw sidemanning be being a thing in my career. And yet some of my guitar idols, be it John Mayer is touring with Dead & Co. or Stevie Ray Vaughan toured with David Bowie for a couple of years. And I was like, what a cool chapter this could be in my life and in my career. And she has been the best boss I could ever have asked for. I mean, I haven't had a boss for a lot of my adult life.
Yeah.
And so now to have a boss, it is weird and so cool that like I get to learn from an icon. I mean, if you were to tell me, or if I were to tell you, okay, you get to choose any role model that you had as a kid, and you get to work with them hands-on for a year and just like learn from them and see how they lead and see how they conduct themselves and like stand beside them in their job and also do your job. Would you take that opportunity? And I'm like, I would take that opportunity in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Let alone I'm getting paid to be there and getting like invited to be on the coolest shows ever. I mean, we toured Europe for a month this past summer and got to play like Glastonbury and Hyde Park and like some of these festivals that are just so legendary in their own right. And now I've been able to welcome Shania into my world.
Yeah.
On Canada's Got Talent, which has been so fun. And so it just feels like a childhood dream come true that I never even know I had.
How does touring with a childhood idol differ from touring on your own? When you're in charge of everything, you're the center of everything.
You don't have to let anymore.
It's so different. I know. I was like, should I just present this the whole time? It is like very different. I mean, I'm so used to it when I lead my own band. I'm so used to making all the calls, you know, and constructing my whole camp and also, you know, fronting a band is very different than sidemanning. But honestly, I've so appreciated like the challenging aspects of it and the perspective shift. I think perspective shifts are so valuable in life.
Yeah.
And sometimes we want them and sometimes we don't want them. But when you can really sit in it and be like, oh, wow, what is in this job, at least, what does the audience look like in this perspective? What are things that Shania says to the audience that I can just sit there and watch her every night? Like, how does she interact with this moment? How does she interact with this fan? And it's like the best like crash course on this is how an icon does her job that I could ever get in my entire life.
When was the first time you met her?
So I met her at Boots and Hearts in 2022.
2022.
And we
That's
opened.
the first time.
It was the first time, and we opened for her at Boots, and it was like, you know, 60,000 people screaming at the top of their lungs. There was like a tornado warning, so they had to delay the show.
Yeah.
We played our show. I was just on cloud nine. And then Shania did end up going on. They had to evacuate the whole entire festival and then bring everybody else back in again. But she's such a boss. She played her entire show. And then after the show, we're all sort of hanging out backstage, and she came up to me and she's like, would you like a piece of strawberry cake my aunt made? And I was like,
What?
yes, Shania, I would love a piece of strawberry
Is
cake.
this like
I
the
will eat
first thing she
strawberry
said to
cake.
you?
So the first picture I have with Shania is us eating strawberry cake together backstage at Boots and Hearts.
It's amazing.
It's just amazing. Like they say, never meet your heroes. And I'll say Shania's like definitely the exception to that rule. She's so wonderful. She's so generous. She's so kind. She's like everything that you want her to be and more. And so brilliant. Like just being around her and hearing her speak. I mean, even watching her on Canada's Got Talent, she just gives like such thoughtful advice, and she's just so smart and like well thought out. And I'm just like, when I thought I couldn't be a bigger fangirl of Shania, I've just like brought that tenfold.
Yeah.
You said advice. Is there something that she's given you that you keep near and dear?
Honestly, just watching how hard she works at this level of her career. I mean, this is what, her 4th decade in her career, and she is still working, like, if not harder. Like, I've always said, when I first got, you know, into this industry, I was like, okay, I just have to get a record deal, and then everything's going to be good.
Yeah.
And then you get a record deal, and you're like, I just need to get a song on the radio, and then everything's going to be good. And then you get a song on the radio, and you're like, I just need to get a #1, and then everything's going to be good. And then you get a #1, and you're like, okay, this is never going to stop.
Yeah.
Like the goalpost keeps moving. And I just think that when you get to the level Shania is, the goalpost keeps moving, but every movement of that goalpost is like more pressure. And so like every decision is more weighted, and every move you make is much more strategic and needs to be, because it's like a loftier thing. And anytime I've gotten to work with artists, you know, who I've gotten to tour with, whether it be Maren Morris or Keith Urban or One Republic, like you really get to see that the hard work never stops. If anything, it just gets more intense and more high pressure. And so I think one of the favorite things I've just gotten to witness around Shania is she just is, one, she's an energizer bunny. Like I do not know how that woman has so much energy. She is just going at like high speed all day long. She has so much energy. She's just like the lovely Shania self all day long, and like stays up late and wakes up early and just is always just her wonderful self. But one of my favorite moments was actually when we were rehearsing for the residency in Vegas, and that day she just happened to be wearing a hat that said Icon, and it was perfect because it was just so fitting for the moment. And she there was a band member who was like working out this keyboard part, and he was sort of standing there working it out, and she walks up to him and she's okay, you don't play it like this, you play it like this. And she like is like selling it and like moving her whole body, and then watching her empower him. And then all of a sudden now every night you see him and he's like selling this part, and I'm just like, whoa, no wonder she's an icon, because not only does she see every part of the show and she knows what she wants, but she knows also how to empower everybody working for her to be the best versions of themselves. And I'm like, that is the sign of a true leader.
That's an icon.
But also, I think for you, I want to go back to this idea of learning from artists and also performing beside them and watching them as you go. You just mentioned a whole bunch of artists who are like world famous. And as opposed to someone who may be just kind of getting their start fresh and being pushed out on their own without this experience, you've been able to work alongside with so many incredible names. How do you feel like those opportunities, and I don't mean opportunities like they're a gift to you, I mean you worked for those to get those, but those opportunities, those placements have shaped the way that you want to chart the trajectory of your career?
Yeah, I feel that anytime I get the opportunity to work with an artist who I look up to, I always view it as a learning opportunity. I view it as like a university course of like, okay, what am I going to learn today? It's why even when we're an opening act for whatever bill or show we're on, I always watch the headliner. Because I'm like, what are things that I can learn from this person? Like, how are they doing their job? How are they opening up their show? How do they interact with the audience? How long do they wait till they talk to the audience? All these like little questions that are in my brain that I'm like, okay, let's see this. And I think even now, at this point in my life, I am going to see more live music than I ever have.
Good. Yeah.
And I think pre-COVID, I was once so busy. Like in 2019, I was gone 285 days. I played 235 shows in a year. And I was literally working all the time. So I didn't have any time to go see live music. But now I'm like, this is the perfect way for me to really learn how the greats do it and really like take those little Easter eggs and all put them together. And so I've been to see more live music this year than I think I ever have in my life. Not only because I'm making time for it, but because I see the importance in it. And I really want to like take lessons from the greats and be like, okay, how do I interpret that skill and then act it out in my own way?
I love that. That's where we grow.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Yeah. Are you ready for another one?
I'm so ready. This is so fun. Oh, wow. We're just hitting it
We're
right
jumping
off.
into it, yes.
Let's just go for it.
Amazing.
This
is
a moment.
This is the moment.
I mean, it feels really special that I can finally say I have a project that embodies who I am. I've been doing this for a hot minute. I mean, I've been touring ever since I was 10 years old, and I've been releasing music. You know, I've been living in Nashville for 15 years releasing music, and I feel like I'm still the same girl I was who was writing songs in Calgary at 10 and who moved to Nashville knowing one person's name on a piece of paper. And I feel like I get to hold that little girl's hand who is like really scared, who was really scared of like being herself and showing up as herself. And now I get to hold that little girl's hand and be me and be like, you know what? We've got this. Like,
yeah, life is scary sometimes. And it is really hard to be vulnerable in places where you don't know how you're going to be well received. Or even at this point in my career, I mean, I've released a lot of music under a country umbrella, and I'm so grateful for what that's taught me. And I think that there will always be a part of my heart that is deeply woven in country music, specifically as a songwriter. I think that I will always create from that standpoint. But sonically, I mean, I moved to Nashville wanting to be a female John Mayer.
Yes.
And then I got offered a country record deal and was like, okay, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean,
Right.
like those lines are so blurred. Like if Sheryl Crow were to release music, it would be country today. And what does genre mean anyways?
Right.
And it took me a decade to figure out that, okay, maybe this shoe doesn't fit perfectly. And I just had so many people tell me time and time again, Lindsay, you're not country enough. You're not country enough, Lindsay.
Really?
Could you just be a little bit more country? Like, let's book you in with all of these really country songwriters and see if that can make you country enough. And I had program directors years and years and years be like, she isn't country. The song isn't country. The song. And so I'm just like, okay, not saying I have so many wonderful people within the category of country music really accept me and embrace me and help me tour around the world. And so I do feel like that is my home, and it's why I love living in Nashville, Tennessee, and always will. However, a lot of my creativity, I felt like I needed to put in a box. And I felt like when I walked into a writing room or when I walked into a studio, I needed to do this certain list of things to be accepted into, okay, now the song is able to be released on country radio. Right. You know, we need to add a steel guitar. We need to add a banjo to make this country enough to be accepted. And I just...
Did that bother you?
I think I lived in that way for long enough that I was like, okay, why am I fighting this? Why am I trying to answer to my own team who are telling me that I'm not whatever fill in the blank enough to be a part of this kids, like cool kids club. And so I think over the past couple of years, I'm just like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to try to be somebody I'm not and work really flipping hard at it and still be told at the end of the day that I'm not enough. I'm over it.
How do you cope with that? Like mentally, that's hard for an artist to know that you're pushing all the time. This is not good enough. How do you take care of yourself knowing that you're going through that process?
I mean, I think that's what this project is really about. I think I did that for so long that it became really hard to fake it. And it became really hard to pretend that I was happy making music that I was feeling needed to fall in this like list of rules.
Right.
And what gave me the courage to walk into my last record label's like head office and be like, I need you to let me go. And also was terrifying because like that's
What was that flip for you though? What made you say this is it? That I'm gonna walk into that room and say this is it. I'm done.
I think it was like a very slow unraveling over the past 5 years. If I were to really be honest, I mean, I think it's playing a lot of bills like on festivals where I would feel like the artist playing before and the artist playing after me were very different to the music that I was wanting to make and the show I was wanting to put on and even the message I was wanting to say in my songs. I would feel like the audience I was playing for really wanted to hear songs about beer and I have no songs about beer. Like I don't even really like beer. And so I'm like, okay. And then I would be asked to like write songs about beer and I'm just like, this is not who I am. Like why?
I don't like beer.
No one knows.
Are there not enough songs about beer?
I know, and I even tried to write songs that say I don't like beer, but I'm like, then I'm writing a song about beer, and that still doesn't fit. And so I'm like, why am I doing this? And so I think it was definitely like a slow unraveling to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. Yeah. And thankfully, like I have been so blessed to work with amazing humans, and the head of my last label is like the most wonderful man on the planet. And he was like, I will be your biggest champion till the day you die. So please do what you need to do.
Amazing.
And from that point forward, I've just been on this path of really trying to answer that voice inside of me that's like, this brings us joy. This doesn't bring us joy. One of my favorite authors, her name is Martha Beck, and she's like, you
get to make decisions in your life. What brings you closer or further away from joy? And it's really how I've made a lot of these shifts in my life of like, okay, does this bring me closer to joy? Does this make me feel more energized? When I think about like how I'm going to feel moving into this decision, if you have a decision, you can like choose left or right. Like, does this make me feel more energy or does it take away energy? Does this make me feel more energy or does it take away energy? And I've just been trying to move to the more energetic, like more joy, more loving decision. And it has like gotten me to this place that I am so proud of, because I've pretty much gotten an entirely new team. I've made a project that feels like me. I've made a project that feels how my band sounds live. I've written songs about the past couple years, which have been wild, which I'm sure we'll get into maybe with some of these other posts. But like,
as she looks at them like, oh man.
I mean, who knows what's about to come up? But
yeah, like this photo, everything about it, right? Love myself, all of it.
And what's really remarkable too is, at least my first point of contact with you is your guitar. Like that's what I remember you for when we first met.
Yeah.
And there she is, no guitar.
No guitar in this photo.
Yeah.
You know, some of my favorite artists, John Mayer being one of them, Sheryl Crow being one of them, they've never been able to really be categorized in one genre. Like maybe they have a project that leans more pop or more country in some cases, or rock or blues, but what makes them them is the mosaic of who they are, of how they write their songs, of how they sing their songs, of how they play their instruments, how they perform, that make them like so truly unique. Like there will only ever be one Tom Petty. There will only ever be one Aretha Franklin. And it's like, okay, if those are the artists I look up to, then I don't want to be defined as one thing. I think the guitar is a huge part of who I am and is a huge voice in my show and in my songs. I look at guitar solos as like additional lyrics to songs. And I know guitar solos aren't cool right now, but I am like so convinced to bring those things back.
It's cool when you do it, man.
Yeah, dude.
When you can riff.
And so it's a huge part of who I am. But I think I was so worried, even from the very beginning of my career, of just being known as that. Of like, oh yeah, she's a good guitar player. Because when I discovered John Mayer, I had no idea he played guitar. When I discovered Keith Urban, I had no idea he played guitar. I just fell in love with the songs that I heard, that I was like, oh, that's a really cool song. What a cool songwriter. And then I discovered they played guitar, going to see them live and being like, wait a minute, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I want fans to experience, although I know I can never dictate how a fan, you know, falls in love or listens to one of my songs. I just don't want to necessarily force feed like, I am a female guitar, I am a guitar player. So many people have told me like, she plays really good guitar for a girl, and I'm like, I just don't want to be defined by that. I want to be defined by like the songs I make as an artist. And then all of these other elements are part of what I do, but they're not the one thing I do. So it was a really intentional choice to not be holding a guitar. Granted, I do have a lot of pictures with a guitar, but specifically now at this point in my career, to like have this picture and be like, okay, this is just me. And actually I've dyed my hair lavender, and I'm just like trying not to live in a box like I have for a lot of my life.
Yeah.
The name Love Myself is powerful. Two words, right?
Yeah.
And it's a reflection of your songs. We had a chance to listen to your songs, and there's a lot of messaging. And, you know, when you write your own music, it's almost very therapeutic.
Honestly, the song Love Myself, oftentimes when I make a project, I don't like calling the project a song title. I like calling it something maybe deeper in another lyric or something. But this project just felt like Love Myself is the whole purpose of it, and the whole you know, footnote of the entire thing. I wrote the song Love Myself when I got diagnosed with an eating disorder last year, and going through the recovery of that and going through the treatment of that has been like so healing in so many ways. Like the past 2 years of my life have been the most healing 2 years I've lived on this planet, because I've really had to look some of those questions in the face of like, okay, can I accept the girl looking in the mirror? Like, can I really accept her for everything who she is, and love her for who she is, not for the things that she will do, or not for the things that she wants to do? Like, can I accept her for who she is right now?
Right.
And that's not also like a destination that you get to where you're like, okay, I've checked into the Love Myself Hotel. I'm just gonna hang out here forever. It's like an everyday thing. And some days are so hard. And some days you feel really waking up, but you like definitely get more tools. And I think as you get older, you just get to this place where you care a lot less about what everybody thinks about what you need to be, and you care a lot more about what you feel.
Yeah. And that's being older and wiser, right? And thank you for bringing that up, because you've been so open about your life, and it's going to help so many people, because I've learned that too in sharing my cancer journey. And there's some power to it, because you hold the power of the words that you're using. Now, I understand that you dealt with it for almost 2 decades, and you finally figured it out last year. Have you gone back and kind of figured out what instigated it? What was that trauma or experience that made, so you have gone through it, you figured it out?
I'm like never afraid of like really looking at like the bitter darkness.
Good for you.
And I think that like there's so much we can learn from looking at why we do the things we do, or like looking at some of the darkest hours, like really asking the question why. I was sexually assaulted when I was a little girl. The first time happened when I was 13. And shortly after that, I developed my eating disorder. And it makes perfect sense. I mean, I don't think a lot of adults have the tools to deal with that kind of trauma, let alone a kid.
13,
And when I was 13, the only control I knew how to access was my relationship with food, was how much I let myself eat or how much I didn't let myself eat. And knowing that I could control how my body looked made me feel like I had a grip on life when I was 13. And then you roll that into an entertainment career, and the entertainment industry, as you both know, specifically for women, is just like a breeding ground for eating disorders. And it's so sad that you get celebrated for being thin, for skipping meals, for like doing things that can be so harmful to your body. And yet in the entertainment culture, it's like celebrated as this like idealistic thing, or like a person will be more successful if they are skinnier, which is like the most whack statement ever. But it's like force fed to you on social so much that like, no wonder as a girl growing up, I was just like, this is what we do. And I would like come to photo shoots. I remember like being told I needed to lose weight before I released a song.
And this is in your teens.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I remember coming to a photo shoot and putting on my wardrobe for the day, and my outfit was a little bit tight. And a producer came up to me and was like, we don't have time to change anything, so just don't eat or drink anything till we're done. And we would be shooting for 14 hours. And so I'm like, and I just knew that it was normal at that point. But now looking back, I'm like, that is so that is so wild. And so I'm very grateful for the amazing therapists and the amazing friends that I've been able to like surround myself with, and my like supportive family. I think that as you grow up and you start asking why and start like really answering some of these questions, you get to learn about yourself, and you get to learn about why we do the things we do. And I know that, I wanted to numb myself out when I was so little, because it was so hard to feel the things that I was feeling.
You talked about your family support. Did they know about all of this?
I didn't tell my parents for 7 years.
For 7 years.
So you had it to yourself?
Because I thought that I would be in trouble. I thought that I did something wrong. Again, when that happens when you're 13. You just don't really have perspective on like how messed up that whole situation is. And my parents are so lovely and so wonderful, but it's just like, it's hard when you're a kid. The world is a scary place. And I wanted to be this like good girl who never did anything wrong. And I thought that was something that I did wrong. And so my parents didn't know about it for years. And that's a lot to live with, let alone being a teenager. Of course. And so I just learned how to numb myself. And I learned how to stop feeling all of these scary feelings and just knowing, okay, well, I can basically what I would do is I would starve myself for weeks, and then I would reach this point where my body was like so hungry that I would like binge uncontrollably for days, and then I would starve myself again. And I would just go in these cycles, and it allowed me to numb my feelings out to the point where then you get in your 20s and you get in your 30s and you don't really know how to feel your feelings. Like that communication highway is like a very clunky and like a very clustered. It is not clear whatsoever. And so going through ED recovery has been so painful in a lot of ways, and so beautiful in a lot of ways. Because it's like, you know, I've fortunately gotten to speak at some conferences and talk to a lot of people who have been
the Clinton event.
Yeah, speaking at CGI was like so incredible. And I got to speak on a panel specifically about recovery that was half about eating disorders and half about the opioid crisis. And it is wild how similar, and obviously there are a lot of things that aren't similar, but a lot of similarities between addicts of any kind. You know, like you can numb yourself with drugs, you can numb yourself with alcohol, you can numb yourself with social media, you can numb yourself with a lot of things in life. And my thing that I numb myself with was food. But that was also kind of a weird thing because you also need food to live and survive. And so the one thing that felt toxic to me was also the thing that I needed to interact with on a daily basis. And so recovery was just painful because anytime, like even addicts coming out of recovery, when you start feeling your emotions and you haven't felt them for a long time, you're like, this does not feel as good as my coping mechanisms, as everything that I did to not feel these
Numbing yourself.
feelings, like anxiety and shame and guilt. Those are not lovely things to feel. Let's be real, okay? But the things you learn from those things and the things that you can break through and get on the other side of them are like so worth the temporary relief of all of my coping mechanisms that I did for 2 decades.
You know what? I think it speaks to the output that you have as an artist, and even again, going through your social media, the messaging that you put forward, like counter-programming. Like I want to empower, I want to encourage, I want people to not have to feel the things that I felt. Is that part of your process?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And if anything, again, like I think our culture today is so focused on like advertising all of these things that people can just numb themselves out with compared to actually listening to your emotions. And I think that like our emotions are like these like juicy little nuggets that can navigate our entire life if we actually listen to them. And it's scary to do that. So scary.
It's not easy.
It is so scary because when you're like, why don't I like this right now? Why don't I feel comfortable right now? And you then have to follow that through and be like, I need to not talk to this friend anymore, or I need to step out of this job, or I need to, like, some of these decisions that your emotions want to navigate you away from are very terrifying. But I just think, like, going back to what I read Martha Beck said, like, if you really let joy navigate your life, you will get to a place of like true happiness, you know, where you can
you want to feel joy every day.
Yeah.
Look where we've got to, and it's only 2 photos in. Like,
sorry.
joy and happiness are only 2 photos in. No, it's brilliant. Like all the, you know, as people who have been fans of yours for a long time, both of us, and who've followed your career, it's so incredible to see where you're at now and how it's reflected in your art.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, I do want to go back to the conversation when you talk to your parents, because you're being so open. I think this is going to help a lot of people, but you're approaching your parents about both of the things, right? How do you do that?
I mean, there's no easy way to anything. It's been one of my favorite things, though, to read in DMs when I've released songs about sexual assault or eating disorders, of fans being like, thank you for releasing this song. You've given me courage to go talk to my family or go find a therapist or whatever. Like, it is one of my favorite things to read, that I can actually know that music has that kind of power. But that initial conversation, I mean, granted, I didn't realize that I had an eating disorder until 2 years ago. Right. So the first conversation was just me telling them that, you know, I got sexually assaulted when I was
13. And that was when I was 20. And then I actually had another occurrence when I was 21. And so I just felt very confused when I was growing up.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm so sorry for everything you've been through, and you've been so vulnerable. So thank you for sharing your story. But I remember just being really scared.
Yeah.
And yet, I mean, your parents hopefully love you unconditionally. And so whatever happens, hopefully all parents on this planet will just know that their child is like going through life, and hopefully they give you a really loving environment. I remember my parents were like so loving and so scared and so angry and like felt all the things, and they didn't even know what to say or what to do. And so it's something that you navigate together, you know, but I do think that awareness is the first step of like, okay, maybe I need to tell somebody. And then choosing who you talk to first doesn't need to necessarily be your family. Like it is a really scary thing, and maybe a therapist or maybe a friend feels like a safer place. And so I just say, go to the place that feels the safest first, because then it gives you confidence to then, okay, then I can maybe reach out to this next person, and then I can maybe reach out to this next person, and then maybe I can tell my family, you know, like your family doesn't need to be number one.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta be number one.
You're amazing.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh,
so much.
you're amazing. This is like,
Okay,
such a
here
good
we go.
conversation. Okay, I'm just gonna keep working my way. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Love this.
Okay, so Madison Tevlin, she is just such a light. Talking about CGI, so I met Madison at the Clinton Global Initiative, and of course she is a host herself who has Down syndrome, and she is just the epitome of light. When you meet her, she just exuberates joy.
Yeah.
She came on my lap once. She came to hug me, and then she just sat there, and I was like, all right, let's have a conversation.
I mean, if there's anything that Madison can teach us, it is truly how to follow joy.
Yeah.
You know, and even just watching her like hold hands with her friends, and it's like the little things, and watching her just get so excited about whatever she's doing, or watching her like believe in her dreams coming true. I'm like, this is what joy is all about. This is what I'm trying to like emulate in my life. Okay, it's like this. You can see a joy on her face. Like
Always,
she's just
though. Always.
always.
Yeah.
Yeah. Truly. I mean, yeah. Madison is just an example for all of us to live by.
Okay, before we bring it home, I think maybe we got time for probably one more. We're not gonna get through all.
Okay,
of these.
fine, one more.
Okay,
But
how about you guys
whichever
choose?
one you.
No, oh, really?
Yeah.
You want us to choose?
Wow.
Oh, sure.
You or me?
Let's hold on.
Why
I'm gonna
not?
go like this.
Oh, jeez. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this one.
Okay, go for it.
Love it.
Speaking of joy, there you go.
My two greatest teachers in life, Madison Tevlin and my dog.
Oh, so when did you get your dog? You got during the
Okay, so
pandemic, or was
I-
it before that?
Yeah.
I adopted Hendrix in December of 2020, so it was in the pandemic.
Yeah.
I didn't want to wake up on Christmas morning alone, and so I was like, I'm going to adopt a puppy.
Yeah.
And I remember like looking online for days, trying to I needed a dog that was small, but I've never owned a Pomeranian, but I always asked for Pomeranian calendars for my parents for Christmas. I don't know why. I just fell in love with this breed of dog, and I had never owned one. And so I was really looking for a Pomeranian that I could adopt, because I knew I wanted to adopt. And so I found this shelter in New Orleans, and found this little, like, I became friends with the woman who runs it, and she sent me this picture of this little fox and was like,
my gosh.
how about this little fox? And I'm like, oh my God, she's perfect. When can I go pick her up? And so I drove down with my band at the time, because it was in the middle of COVID still, and things were kind of weird. So we drove 7 hours to New Orleans, picked up a po' boy, a beignet, and a dog, and then turned around and drove back to Nashville. And she has truly been such a light in my life. I mean, I am such an animal lover and such a dog lover. I would have like a whole like retreat and like shelter of dogs if I could, but I travel way too much to take care of that many beings from long distance. But she's been such a light and has taught me so many things. I mean, I was talking about this with a friend earlier, like anytime when I see Hendrix get like really obsessed, like there's like a crumb on the floor and she gets really obsessed of like, I want that crumb, I want that crumb, I want that crumb. And she doesn't see that I have like a piece of steak waiting for her over here. And she's like really obsessed about this and very sad and upset that she cannot get the tiny little crumb while I'm like, I have a piece of steak in my hands. And I'm like,
This is such a metaphor for my own life right now. Like, I get so obsessed of tiny little crumbs, and I'm like, I need this crumb right now, otherwise I'm going to lose my mind. And then who knows if there's like a delicious steak waiting around the corner. And so Hendrix teaches me so much, and she's just like so much joy. Like, anytime I need to be reminded of if I'm like really navigating my life to joy, I just need to hold this like 6-pound dripping wet little furry creature in my lap and be like, okay, this is what life is all about. And she's become BFFs with Shania's dog. Shania has a Pomeranian whose name is Safi.
Play dates.
All
the time.
They like chase each other in the green room, and then after the show, we'll walk in and they're like sleeping on the couch together, and it's
Looking for crumbs.
Looking for crumbs.
Among the things I'm sure you didn't expect to be able to say about your adult life is that, you know, your dog and Shania Twain's dog are best
I
friends.
know. That's pretty cool.
I never, ever, ever thought I would be able to say that sentence.
Okay, quick quiz on social media.
Please.
All right, here we go. What will we find on your Explorer page?
Oh, goodness.
Dogs.
Probably dogs. Probably dogs. Probably like random songs I forgot I've released.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, the Explorer page, I'm like, sometimes I think you may know more about me than I know about me sometimes, because I'm like, I don't know, sometimes I'm moving so fast, I'm like, oh yeah, I did play that show. That was cool.
Nice. Okay.
Favorite person to follow on social?
Oh my gosh, this is so hard.
There must be one person that you check every day.
I really love Glennon Doyle.
Oh, yeah.
I look up to her so much for like the courage that she's had in her life. I mean, the facets that she has gone through, being, you know, an author herself and now being a fellow podcaster, and just like being so vulnerable and transparent, and her life with Abby, like she's just so open and honest with it all. And I love following Glennon.
What is the coolest thing that's ever come out of a DM? Either you've sent someone or someone has sent you.
Oh, great question. Let me think about that.
Has anyone slid into your DM?
Oh, I mean, yeah. This is probably not appropriate. Like, yeah, I always have like weird
are there,
fans.
like,
Okay, well, I think I know what you're going to ask. Or maybe this is what you're going to ask. And maybe I can't even talk about this. Okay, I've never been sent a pic, and this is probably.
I wasn't thinking that.
I love that. I was like, are we thinking the same thing?
I have gotten a bunch. Let me tell
Okay,
you.
and I don't want to say this because probably this will encourage more, but I've never been sent them before, and I'm like, is that just maybe it's not my vibe? Maybe I'm just like. I just give up.
It ain't my vibe either.
Like,
My friends have always talked about that they get sent all these pictures, and I'm like, I have never been sent, like not one ever.
Should I send you one? Like,
no,
just so you can experience it?
I don't really want them, but my friends.
I'm thinking more romance. I had a guy hit on you on DMs. I wasn't even going there.
Okay, I mean, I didn't know, but it was the first thing that came to my mind. So I'm like, I'm just going to be unfiltered and share this. So I've never been sent that. But yeah, people slide into DMs all the time, and it is.
Are you dating anyone right now?
I am dating somebody.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I've been dating somebody for a couple years. He lives the most private life that I have ever met of a lot of people. And it's been like so challenging in a good way. Because so much of me wants to share all of my relationship, because that's just who I am.
Yeah.
But I also want to respect his wishes to
Has
have.
the offer come out to be like, how about you be in this photo with me? And he's just like politely declined? Like, how does that work?
You know, it's an ongoing conversation that I so respect somebody's wishes to like follow their own joy.
I mean, I have to pay my kids to be my photos. It's
I
a
love
deal.
it. That's amazing.
I'm only allowed 5 per year, so I get it.
I love it. Extra allowance, ice cream, bribery.
Literally
is
a contract
thing.
saying you got to pay me a certain amount of money for this photo.
I will say he's like very creative though with just how he lives his entire life, and so like whenever I have like a Halloween shoot with Hendrix or something, like he's always the mastermind behind those things. So
Love that.
Pixel boy.
I know. I don't even know why I said that.
Is there a favorite post of yours on either Instagram or TikTok?
Oh my goodness. What a question. Okay, I'll give you a 2-part answer. I mean, posting about this project has probably been one of my favorite posts ever, because I just feel so flippin' proud of this music, and I haven't been able to say that in a long time, or not feel that like pride in my own art. And so this has probably been like one of the coolest moments to be like,
cool.
oh my gosh, this music is out in the world. And I just feel so proud of it.
Yeah.
And then also the one time I was in a guitar commercial with John Mayer and got to post a picture with him, and I was like, is this real life right now? Like somebody who I've listened to so much of his music, and he asked me to be a part of his like guitar commercial, and I was
There's a
like,
theme in your life.
this is
Just,
like,
is
what
this
is
real? Is this
happening?
happening?
Yeah.
And lastly, how much time do you spend scrolling?
Oh, I love this question. I used to spend so much time scrolling.
Okay.
And it was really bad on my mental health. And so I don't really spend any time scrolling. Currently, right now,
Really?
I open my socials to post things and go immediately to the comment DM section and read DMs from fans. Whenever I post something on social media, I will like post what I need to post and then go immediately to my DMs and read, or maybe read the comments on my post and engage with them, and then I get off.
That's it.
And I've just found right now when I'm navigating so much, it's just not smart for my mental health.
Do you have your phone here?
It's just outside. Yeah.
Okay. So we do this thing where we check
Love it.
how many hours you actually spend on your phone.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be terrifying.
And
Do you wanna
Carlos is
go
going
get
to
my
show
phone?
you, because you're saying you don't use a lot of time on it. I thought I didn't either.
Can I tell you?
Okay, no, I will say I spend most of my day on my phone.
Yeah.
But like on social media, I
Yeah.
spend hours responding to fans.
Yeah.
Like I spend hours responding to fans. But I've just found like mindlessly scrolling is like
I know it's not good for
Yeah.
your mental.
not
No.
a
Not
good
good for
place for
mental.
me right now. And so many of my friends will be like, "Did you see my post?" And I'm like, "No, dude, I didn't."
Or I'm
Tell
watching
me about
dog-
it. Let's
dog
grab dinner.
videos.
Let's talk in real life.
yeah,
Right? Let's talk in real life.
exactly.
Yeah.
Call me, FaceTime me.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll get the phone, but
But
we'll
I
show
am
you.
on my phone most of the day.
Do you know how much you think you spend on your time?
gosh, I'm like terrified. I'm like texting, emailing, looking
This is
at
the
my
funnest part for us to see how
gosh.
long you actually are on it.
Oh gosh, this is really scary.
So-
okay.
I just want to put it out there. Sangita always volunteers my phone.
Okay, love
Because
that.
she's always like, I don't even know how to do it. I don't even know how to look. Meanwhile, I'm sure she can look at screen time. So,
I don't wanna
so
see
for-
it. Okay, ready?
So for
Okay, there's
comparison,
Hendrix, by the way.
Look at
She's just,
cutie.
just sitting there.
So if you go into your settings
Yes.
and just type in screen time, and
okay.
it'll come
Oh
up.
God, bless. Okay.
Here we go.
So I'll show you my
What is yours?
So mine's actually pretty good. Down 54% from last week. 4 hours and 13 minutes daily average.
Carlos, I'm so proud
Thank
of
you.
you.
I think this is actually kind of like a record for me.
You
It's
are
usually
living
pretty-
life.
I'm living life right now.
You are
That's it.
living life.
Yeah, we're
Okay, I
busy.
will say my stats, I don't know how far they go back, but will probably be a little bit off because I've been shooting Canada's Got Talent. So
Yeah.
I've been not on my phone
Yeah.
At all.
for most of the day. 'Cause I've been
let's-
okay, so do I do app and website activity?
Just go to settings
Okay,
and
I'm on
screen time. Yeah.
screen time. Okay, here, Apple
oh.
Store. You just
Apple,
navigate.
your Apple Store. Hold on. Genius bar?
There's like categories
I know.
of screen time.
This is
I'm like,
different.
what do I click
go.
there?
No. No.
Screen time.
Screen
there.
time. Here we go.
Okay.
No, that's the thing. That's the same. It's different for me.
Okay,
Okay,
so
well,
I
that
have
was- well-
app and website activity. I mean, I guess that's probably the thing.
No.
Oh,
It's so interesting. Can you find yours or no?
I do. She has a brand new though with all the new like
all the
we're like
things.
downtime.
Hey, Apple, we need an update.
screen
maybe.
downtime. Oh my goodness.
Oh, forget it.
Well,
no,
you know-
I want to know.
Screen time.
Oh wait,
It's coming.
Oh, it's coming.
it's stinking.
It says,
This
I just
is
want
a very terrifying.
everybody
like,
has to know it
spinning
says
wheel.
0 minutes.
But
She's
that's
been very
because
busy.
it's thinking. Updated.
Oh,
yeah, I've been very.
there you go.
This
She
is
was-
not accurate.
No, that's not real.
If I were to guess, I mean, Tiff, how much would you say I'm on my phone a day? I'd probably be on my phone like 12 hours a day or so. 10 hours a day?
I think it depends on the day.
Depends
Yeah.
on the day.
Yeah, it doesn't show your settings.
Oh,
Well,
because maybe I just
'cause you
turned
just
it on.
updated it. Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, how about this? I will
I want
Send
an
us-
update.
I
will
want
send
an
an
update
update.
for
An update.
your screen time.
Okay.
Lindsay,
Thank you.
We have to thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah.
We were both so excited to actually have a chance to sit down with you and go through your story, beginning to end, especially where you are right now, like I said earlier.
Yeah,
So
you're in a
cool,
different
man.
space, and you're talking about finding your joy. I feel like you found your joy.
I have definitely felt like I found my joy when I can create music that, you know, is like 1975 meets Maggie Rogers. I'm like, that equals joy to me.
So sick.
What's on your tattoo? I'm just curious to see.
So I have a guitar that's like the universe because music is so much connected. And then this says kintsugi, which if you don't know what kintsugi is, it's a Japanese art form where they mold broken pottery together with gold. And it's a philosophy just to remind you to appreciate your flaws and see them as beauty.
Wow.
I brought a
Nice.
guitar.
You did? Just, you know, oh my God.
Casual.
I love it. Yes.
Okay, teach me 3 notes.
Okay, are you right-handed or left-handed?
I'm a lefty.
Okay, perfect.
Am I
You're
holding it the wrong way?
No,
Oh, okay.
you're holding it the right way. Okay, so this is
Hold
a
on. You know
ukulele.
what? I want to get this for me. Just for me personally.
This is my daughter's. Okay.
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 Oh, she's chewing her up. I'm nervous. Okay, 3 blind mice.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do that. Okay.
Nobody asked you to sing too, but
3.
that's fine. We'll get there.
Oh, she's tuning it up.
Okay. Man, I just need to bring up my.
This is
are
like-
we gonna take a selfie?
This is
Okay.
like private coaching for us
is
to
video.
actually audition
Great.
for CGT. Like this
Oh,
is like
I love
private
this.
CGT
I got
coaching.
this. I got
That's
this. I got
amazing.
this.
Okay, let's just tune this up so there are actually notes here.
Oh no, it's okay.
No, okay, but I will teach you. Okay, when it is tuned, the chord you will want to learn is like putting a finger here on the second fret
Okay.
and a finger there on the
Okay.
second fret. And it's not tuned right now, so but it sounds close enough. So with
There and
long
there?
nails, it's really hard.
Okay.
I will say, but yeah, the second fret and then the second fret right here. Yep.
And like this.
And then yeah. Okay. But you just have to try to not mute these 2 middle strings because they need to ring out. So with long nails, it's hard. I get long nails in this hand and
She'll
short.
be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lindsay Ell.
She'll be coming around the mountain.
You're amazing. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. That's so much fun.
So much.
Lindsay Ell.
Amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
And it's not a surprise. I mean, we knew that. You talked to her before. I've talked to her before. And what's really cool about sitting down and talking to people is that, like, you know, you can listen to an artist and become a fan of them.
Yeah.
But with what we've gotten to do, I know that with Lindsay, I became a fan of hers the first time we sat down to chat. And then I was like, I got to see where she's going with everything. And she's really gone. I mean, I said it in her interview, and I mean it sincerely. She's gotten to a place where it's so good to see where she is at, life and career both right now.
I know. When we went through the photos, we took time with 2 of the big ones for her. It was her new EP and also with Shania Twain. And that kind of is a reflection of her life from 2011, from her first post and where she is now. And she kept bringing up the word joy. And I feel like she's found that joy now. And taking that step of knowing that you need to move away from certain things that are not good for you. When she left her label and went to a different label and made music for herself. And I think you pointed out so quickly about not having guitar in that photo was almost liberating.
Yeah.
Their hands out like this.
Yeah.
And so Lindsay's a great example of speaking to who you are and authentically living yourself. So I think that's what she's done for a lot of people.
Oh, so many lessons.
And she taught me how to play guitar or ukulele.
Well, I mean, listen,
Brilliant.
I feel like we need at least a few more lessons with Lindsay.
I was ripping it, man. I was like, do you want me to do it again? I could go get
I
the.
Good. I think
are you
she,
sure?
I think she's gone. Oh, you're gonna get the ukulele? I think my parking is up. I gotta go and